Okay.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Very good, very good. Enjoyed it. Enjoying this very much.
This is the story of Harold Paquette. At first glance, Harold may look like your typical grandfather. The white hair, the old photos, how good he is with his family, and your occasional joke here and there.
Did you hear that fart?
I haven't heard it.
But Harold is much, much more than that. Besides being a family man, he was also an incredibly successful businessman. He ended up having his own bottling company by the time he was 30 and kept his success by bottling one bottle at a time.
We got married on April the 24th, 1954. And she's backed me up all the way, but it's your way here. I don't have to tell you. When I was in the beverage industry, kind of the way we started and everything else like this, it was a 7-day-a-week job, and she backed me up all the time, looked after the kids. The only thing is I regret is my son growing up, and I don't even remember going to one of his baseball games. But I try to make up for it now. He's got a son that plays hockey, and I don't miss any of his hockey games. From my dad, I learned, in other words, if you start something, okay, finish it.
And that is exactly what he set out to do. Harold's working life started long before he got into the bottling business, starting at the age of 6, when he sold produce door to door. Before the age of 10, he ran his own lawn business with the local neighborhood, and through that lawn business, he ended up meeting a man named Mr. Monroe that would change his life forever.
What was happening is the men they would cut down their machine to take a smoke. So I said to one chap, I said, how about if I operate your machine while you're having a smoke? And I'm 14 years old. And he said, okay, as long as the foreman don't see you. But the foreman caught me after doing this several times and led me out of the plant by ear. And Mr. Monroe said, what are you doing with my gardener? And he told him what I was doing. And he said, can you operate machines in there? And I said, yes, I can. So he said to the foreman, he said, hire him. So I got a job and broke all their records of production because I never stopped for a smoke. When I was 19 years old, I was going to business college, and Mr. Monroe asked me, I was taking up bookkeeping, accounting, everything that they taught, and Mr. Monroe asked me to quit my job and work in his office because he had 2 girls in the office and he was facing bankruptcy and couldn't afford the 2 girls in the office. And I took over the office trying to convince Mr. Monroe that I had a plan, that if he executed the plan that I had, that he wouldn't have to go bankrupt and was able to stay in business. And it took me 3 months to put myself in a second position in the payroll department. And that's when I heard that Mr. Monroe had passed away, and I wanted to start the pop business. So I bought the name from the daughter, whose name was Monroe, which was called Monroe Beverages. I bought the name from her for $1 and started out Monroe Pop in a plant, because that's all I could afford, was 30 feet by 60 feet. It didn't even hold all our bottles in, or couldn't even put a truck in. I'm so stubborn that later on in life, what I did is the Wishing Well company came up to me and offered me the Wishing Well franchise. But I had Orange Crush, and you can't bottle Orange Crush and Wishing Well because they're the same product. But what I did, I said, I'll work for you hidden. And I said to the Wishing Well company, I'll help you out. Okay, they asked me how much I wanted. I said, you pay me what you think I'm worth. Back then, wages were $60 a week. I said to my wife, I'm going to ask them for $75 a week. So anyways, after the first week, I went with the meeting at the Wellington Tavern. They gave me the paychecks and opened up the envelope. I came back and I said, there's no paycheck in there for me. And they started arguing. amongst the two guys who were there. They said, we can't understand that. You told the clerk how much to make your check out for. I said, no, I told you, you pay me what you think I'm worth. Well, I said, how could you get a check if you don't tell them how much the check is? So he gave me a blank check and said, fill it in for any amount. And I was going to 75, and I said, no, it's still, I have right of refusal if I want it, okay? But you pay me what you think I'm worth, and if I'm not happy. So he said, well, how about 150? I said, 150? And he said, well, to start. I said, I'll accept it. People call themselves salesmen. I call them order takers. I call myself a professional salesman. I don't sell a product. I sell myself. Like I say, Dr. Pepper chose me over Coke, Pepsi, 7-Up, Canada Dry, and all the companies, and all I had was a building 30 feet by 60 feet and bottled one bottle at a time. To this day, I can't understand why they chose me, but it was the right choice. Yes, I'm trying to teach to my family something that maybe I kind of overlooked a little bit. Look after your family. Your family should come first before any job or anything, because number one, you get your family. When everything is done, okay, tell you what, the only one that's by your side is your family. And teach them different morals that you've had in life, and teach them to, whatever they do, follow through on it. But don't take on a job that you don't like. If you're doing something you don't like, look around, find something that you like, because money isn't everything. Happiness is everything.
This is Harold Paquette, and I am proud to call him my grandfather.